don't fix it.
I have an assignment. It's like a paid holiday.
Starting when?
Go, go, go!
The story will be that she's gone rogue.
You can tell me right now why you sold me out, or you can tell me in 10 minutes when I have my hands around your throat.
Haywire. I've never done a woman before.
You shouldn't think of her as being a woman. That would be a mistake.
In this corner welcomes Gina Carano, starring in Haywire. It opens up January the 20th. Welcome, Gina.
Hello.
Let's talk about how this movie came to fruition. So many fans that you have with your MMA career. How did Mallory Kane come to fruition?
Well, I had just lost my first MMA fight, and I was pretty wounded. That didn't go as planned. And then I get a call from my agent, and he said, a man named Steven Soderbergh, he's a director, would like to sit down and meet with you. And I didn't know who he was, and he started listing off some of the movies that he's done, and he said Traffic, and I was like, wow, okay, well, that's huge. And so then I went and picked him up at the train station from LA to San Diego, and I picked him up, and we went and had a 4-hour lunch, I'd say. And at the end of it, he was like, look, I'd love to do a realistic fight movie with you, action movie with you. Would you like to do that? And I said yes.
It had to be difficult. What a huge thing to be in a movie like that, starring. I know you've done some movie work and some television work, but this is huge, being the lead. How difficult was that?
It was just all new. Everything that I did was completely new, something I'd never done before. And so it was just waking up every day with a crazy adrenaline rush of what does today have, in mind for me. There was some training that went into it before, such as like stunt training and ex-Mossad training. So it was like soldier training and learning how to stunt fight. And then we went to Dublin and just, went into it, and it was just complete adrenaline rush.
I would think, though, being a professional athlete with all the work that you've put in, with Muay Thai and boxing skills and working out, that had to help you with, the preparation and whatever for a movie like this, just because you're so disciplined.
Yeah. Well, don't get it wrong. Like, I'm very extreme, so I can be very disciplined at the same time. I'm two extremes, and they don't really talk. But I think that having a camera on you in the most cutthroat moment in the cage, where you're being watched by a ton of people, and you and this person are just going to go at it in the most raw, natural way. I definitely think that helped me translate that over onto, a film set where I was just my adrenaline was just trying to keep up with the actor in front of me and try to do the best, with them.
That's a good point, though. As a great fighter, the great fighters get into a zone.
Yeah.
Did you kind of get into a zone when you were going through these scenes?
Absolutely. To be as present as possible, and to be as real as possible. I didn't want it to be like a sports person coming over into the acting world and really cheesing it up and being kind of ridiculous. So I definitely try to make it as real as possible by being present with them.
The fight scenes, as the fans will see, are fantastic, very exciting, and Soderbergh has this really cool way of shooting in that Traffic style, The fighting scenes, I heard that you did almost all your own stunts.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole reason I got the job.
No, come on.
Oh, it was. It was because of all the physicality I could bring to it, so you better believe. I mean, I wanted to do 100% of them, but I found out that you can't do everything. There's one thing I couldn't do, which was she falls off a building and then slams into another one and then falls on the ground. And I remember being like, no, I can do it. Let me do everything. I want 100% credit on that. And R.A., the stunt coordinator on set, looked at me and he was like, Gina, share. And I was like, oh, okay. And then when I saw Karen Silvestri is her name, when I saw her do that stunt, it was really beautiful to watch another strong female, another badass female do like shine in what she does. And I have a whole respect not only for stuntmen but very much for stunt women now.
Did you help, because there were so many mixed martial arts moves within that, did you help with the choreography?
Well, the stunt coordinators are definite fans of mixed martial arts and UFC and Strikeforce and cage fighting. And so, they know everybody in the sport because that's their job, is they study mixed martial arts all around the world and implement it into these fight scenes. And they definitely watched my fights, and they knew my styles, the styles I've come from, Muay Thai, boxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. They knew where I was coming from. But at the same time, once they got over the fact that they were realizing they weren't just dealing with another actress, they were dealing with an athlete. And I think that's when things started really collaborating, and I got to put in my 2 cents and, say what I would like to do. And they would, say, yes, that's awesome, or no, that won't work. And so there's certain parts in the movie where I'm like, I put that in there. That was my idea.
Paul has presented himself as one half of a power couple.
This is your pitch? You want me to be eye candy? MI6 wants me to be eye candy?
Mallory, you were the eye.
I don't even know how to play that. I don't wear the dress. Make Paul wear the dress.
Well, I'll ask. Look, do this, and then we'll go away afterwards. We'll go to Mallorca.
Mallorca?
Not like before. As friends, you can take a break. It's literally 2 days. Paul, that's Paul. You guys would be like the perfect couple. So he'll know you. I need this to happen.
A question my daughter told me to ask you. She's an aspiring actress going to school in North Carolina, and she said that, would you want to do other roles? You're obviously going to have a lot of opportunity in these action-type things with your performance and Haywire, the people to see that. But what about a serious role down the line where you don't do no stunts, just a girly girl?
Yeah. Well, I was talking to an interviewer from Rotten Tomatoes the other day, and he was like, what are your favorite movies, and what are your 5 favorite movies? And I started listing them off, and he was like, wow, you're kind of like a dark romantic type genre. That's what it seems like to me that you're drawn to. And I was like, really? I was like, I didn't know that about myself. So, I know that my niche right now is action, and after the reaction from Haywire and the fight scenes in it, I absolutely, will do anything I can to, make more and more beautiful action, films.
Speaking of beautiful action, it was a lot of great action watching you in MMA. Will you return to MMA?
That's still really undecided right now. I'm trying to give back to Haywire what it gave to me, and that was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. And so I want to get on the other side of January 20th and know that I gave it everything I could.
The last time we saw you in the ring was against Cyborg, and I know you were very upset, devastated by that loss. Your thoughts on that fight now, in light of the fact that she tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, which was no surprise to me?
Yeah. It would be a lie to say that I wasn't hurt, because that question was always out there. So that, of course, puts that in my mind, well, was that same thing happening when I fought her? Because I do think it definitely could give a person an edge, not only physical edge, but a mental edge, But at the same time, I think she's wonderful and a wonderful athlete, and whoever's around her telling her that she needs any of that is telling her the wrong thing, because she's an athlete and she doesn't need that. So I don't sit here and rejoice in that, because she's going to have to deal with consequences, for the rest of her life for having tested positive, and she's worked really hard to where she's gotten such respect from the MMA community, and so I really feel for her. My heart goes out to her. I feel for her, but, I guess I'm a little hurt.
Would you like a rematch at some point? Now that she's tested positive, and certainly they won't allow that to happen again.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what happens to me in my life, I'm not going to, absolutely, if I get back into the sport, for sure.
That'd be a big money fight. Let's switch to my sport, boxing, pugilism. And when I watched you in action, I gave you your props. You have some really good stand-up skills. Where does that come from?
That comes from walking into the right gym in Las Vegas and having the right instructors teach me the basics from the beginning. And that was Master Toddy and Master Chan in Las Vegas. They're not there anymore. Well, Master Chan is. But they really taught me Muay Thai at its very basic level and allowed me to grow in it. And so, that's where my stand-up came from, a good instructor.
We spoke a little bit before we started this about your dad, Glenn, and I remember him so, with the commission and what have you. How did he inspire you in your athletic career?
Well, he didn't want me fighting. That's pretty obvious. He definitely doesn't want me fighting. But I've seen him handle, certain things in his life, such as being an ex-professional football player. And even though I didn't know him, he's always been very humble about it, always very complimentary of the people he worked with and his coach Landry and, working behind Roger Staubach and being a part of the Cowboys when they were a great team and having his, very proud of his Super Bowl ring.
By the way, they could use him right now from time to time.
Well, hey, I think we're getting better as long as we're getting better. Yeah. And I actually started getting into football this last year. Uh-huh. So I was born in Dallas, and now Dallas is my team. So I want them to do good, and I want to send out all the positive energy I can towards them.
Who's your favorite boxer of all time?
I think the boxers that I've been surrounded by. I should do a lot more research on older boxers, but the people and the athletes and the fighters I've been surrounded by up to date, are the people that have really been the inspiring ones to me. So all my training partners and all the people I've met in the sport, and all my coaches, those are the people that have inspired me.
How much do you think your stand-up skills helped, create your great performances in MMA?
Well, when I walked into it knowing that I was good, I was definitely good at one thing, and all the other things I wasn't, really good at yet, like wrestling, jiu-jitsu. Hadn't really gotten good at that yet. So to have that one thing that I walked in good at, knowing I had experience in it, was an excellent crutch. And it gave me time to get better at the other, more ground style fighting. So, but I consider myself now, I consider myself an all-around fighter, an all-around, because now you've got these wonderful Muay Thai girls coming in just with sick stand-up. You've got boxers coming into our sport just with ridiculous hands. And so now I consider if I had a fight, I wouldn't be opposed to taking someone down, and I wouldn't be opposed to being on the ground or standing up, because that's where the women in the sport have taken it. You have to be an all-around fighter.
I've heard you mention about wanting a shot at fighting on a UFC card. Is that still something that you think about? I know we got to get beyond January the 20th, and you got a lot of opportunities out there, but is that something that is on your bucket list?
Yeah, I would lie if I said it wasn't. What an opportunity that would be to be in the UFC. You go to these UFC fights, and no matter what, if you're male, female, whatever it is, that is the ultimate stage to perform on. That is the ultimate place to be. And yeah, that would be a definite beautiful thing.
Have you had a conversation with Dana White about that?
I've had conversations with him, but I haven't fought for 2 years. He called me in when Strikeforce, or when I believe it was Elite XC was going out of business, and we had a conversation then. And and that's at the same time when he had WEC. But now he owns, now they, the Fertittas and Dana own not only UFC but Strikeforce, and so so we'll see. I don't know. It depends on, after January 20th, and also depends on if they would ever be open to that.
Did you ever think about fighting professionally as a boxer?
No. I think that I'm definitely a full-bodied creature. As a female, I don't want to just have one thing to rely on. I want anything to rely on. I want to use my whole body to get out of any type of bad situation I can. And I think that's why MMA is good for females, is because, we are full-bodied creatures. We're tricky. We're smart. We have to, because, we've always been, in the years up until now, and even now we're like a little bit weaker, so we have to use our whole body to get out of a situation, which
Do you feel like you're a role model for young ladies that'll potentially go into MMA?
It's always nice when somebody's inspired by your life. And if it helps them, walking out of the movie and wanting to go join a gym, or walking out of the movie and feeling good for a second, or for the girls that are more like me, and feeling like they're not the only ones out there, that's definitely a good feeling. But you never want to put people on pedestals, because they'll just disappoint you. So I want people to understand I'm still very much a human being.
Well, I tell you what, you're off to a wonderful start with your acting career. You've done a great job already in MMA, and we wish you the best of luck, continued success. Check out Haywire, January the 20th. Gina, thanks for joining us on In This Corner.
Thank you.